Hello, true believers. This is Doc Hogg, and welcome to episode 94 of Comics and Variety. If you like this channel, please do subscribe. Hit the notification bell to be notified when I post new videos. And for the sake of YouTube's search algorithm, please do hit the like button. Alrighty, as you may know, I have launched the sign-up page for my forthcoming comic book Tilt on Indiegogo. I'll provide a link to that in the description below, so do sign up soon. Also, this coming Tuesday, around 7 p.m. Eastern Time, I will be having another live stream, this time with my friend, our boy Greatlot. We'll be discussing some recently released indie comics, including Downcast and Savage Sasquatch. Again, that will be this Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, so do stop by. Okay, Captain Marvel, The End. This is supposed to be a sad, emotional comic because if it was the actual end of Captain Marvel, you'd be sad, right? Let's start with this cover, which is a variant cover, and some of the other covers were actually pretty decent, but I chose this one because, God, that is awful. I mean, she has approved body type, of course, and some of this looks like it is still in the sketch version. I mean, look at the hair here. And then there's the coloring, which is almost like crayon. I mean, my 3-year-old could do better than that. Now, in the story, there are a few parts that seem like the trope of emotional validation, like this panel here. But since Captain Marvel is sacrificing herself in this story, it is supposed to be emotional, so I'll give that a pass. The problem is that it seems fake. The emotion doesn't seem legitimate. The story is trying to build up to this poignant ending, but it doesn't feel that way, and I think that's because it is a one-issue standalone comic book. I picked this up thinking it was going to be a 4 or maybe 6-issue comic book, but no, back when people knew how to tell a story in a comic book, let's say back in 1982, you had The Death of Captain Marvel by Jim Starlin, which was a whole graphic novel. This particular comic is 30 pages, which granted is about 10 more pages than you usually get these days, but still, something that has the momentous title of The End should probably be multiple issues, You need to develop the attachment between these characters, Let the reader know how important they are to each other. That way it is genuinely sad when Captain Marvel sacrifices herself. And they have the kind of story here where you can do that. Captain Marvel is called back to an Earth that she thinks is dead by the remnants of the Avengers, asking for her help in killing this beast. Dear God, what is that? Man. Anyways, after dispatching the beast, she learns that the Earth is dying because the sun is dying. And then Captain Marvel sacrifices herself in the sun to give it new life. Problem is, it's just too thin. The emotion, again, just doesn't seem valid. Alrighty, so what could they have done with this story? Well, here is Doc Hogg's guide to fixing Captain Marvel, The End. Number 1, let the dying sun be the cause of these creatures. That is, as the sun gets weaker, you see more and more of these creatures. 2, make each new creature a bigger threat to the humans than the last. So as they defeat each creature, the next one is just, stronger and more powerful. 3, they call Captain Marvel for help while they are working on technology to give the sun new life. 4, develop the relationships between Captain Marvel and the other characters during the battle against these creatures. That is, they're trying to keep the creatures at bay while others are working on the technology to give the sun new life. And relationships develop between Captain Marvel and the other characters, strong emotional bonds. Next, have the last beast they fight be one that is so powerful that Captain Marvel can barely defeat it. The point being that the next threat will be something they can't defeat. 6, at that point the technology to bring the sun back to life is ready, but when they try it, it fails. And 7, that's when Captain Marvel decides to sacrifice herself. Okay, that would be a really great story. And one that could be very, very poignant at the end. So why didn't Marvel do something better, do something more with this comic? Well, to get an answer, let's look at the writer Kelly Thompson, first hired by Marvel in 2015 for Secret Wars, and she has had a couple of series since then. One of the first was Hawkeye, not the Clint Barton Hawkeye, but the Kate Bishop Hawkeye, which premiered in December 2016. And let's take a look at the graph here. That comic began with 70,000 in its first month and then dropped to about 27,000 in month 2. Now, these numbers come from Comicron, and keep in mind that Comicron are just orders from stores, not necessarily comics sold. So, going from month 1 to 2 gives one a good sense of how the orders sold in month 1, and in this instance, not too good, as demand from comic book stores dropped over 60% going into month 2. And sales continued to deteriorate, with a few exceptions, until March 2018 when it was canceled. Alrighty, Thompson also wrote a 5-issue miniseries called Rogue and Gambit, and those saw declining numbers as well. Started at around 38,000 and dropped all the way to just under 17,000 when it finished. Then there was her run on West Coast Avengers. Are we noticing a pattern yet? It began in August 2018 with 34,000, and then it declined. It had one bump up in November. There were 2 issues released in December, and they both continued the decline. And it shrank to just over 13,000 in April 2019 when Marvel canceled it. Clearly, Kelly Thompson isn't a very good comic book writer based on the sales numbers, yet Marvel keeps her on. Why? Well, we all know why. I mean, she's a whammon and fits Marvel's identity politics agenda where, your gender, race, and sexual orientation matter more than your actual talent. So when there is a story that has a lot of potential, like Captain Marvel The End does, well, you get a writer who lays an egg or maybe even a turd with it. It's sad, but that's the state of mainstream comics today. So, of course, put this comic on the don't buy list. And otherwise, that's all for now, and have a very nice day.